I don't know if there's a slam dunk guy that's widely available. I think if you're like most fantasy managers and you're without a running back this week and you're just looking for somebody that you can pick up and start, I guess the name to tell you is Dearness Johnson, but it makes me nervous to say it. It's he you can file him right under what Devontae Booker was last week, which is a guy who's got an opportunity, should see 15 touches on a short week against the Broncos, and it's a Broncos run defense that just got gashed by Kenyon Drake and Josh Jacobs. He would probably be my top priority if I needed a running back this week. If I didn't need a running back this week, if by some miracle I had 2 or 3 healthy running backs that were playing in week 7, I'm passing on Dearness Johnson. And I'm maybe looking at somebody who might be able to help more long-term. I like Ramondre Stevenson there. He's 65% available. He was working in the passing downs role a little bit for the Patriots. I'm interested in him. I'm interested in carrying Devonta Freeman, who will probably share with Le'Veon Bell, provided that Latavius Murray is out this week. And I thought that Freeman for the last 2 weeks has looked like the best running back in Baltimore. So if those opportunities are there, I'd like to have him on the team. Jarrett Patterson is another guy who's going to get those opportunities if Antonio Gibson's out. There's a lot of ifs on this list.
Yeah.
The one guy that I said who doesn't have that if is Stevenson, who's definitely going to split at in some form or fashion with Damian Harris and other Patriots running backs. But it seems like his role is starting to develop a little bit, and he's somebody that can help carry you in the second half of the fantasy season.
So are we not thinking Nick Chubb is going to play? Because they haven't ruled him out for Thursday.
It's a short week. Stefanski was positive about it, so just keep that in mind. But the fact that he didn't practice, wasn't listed as practicing on Monday. I know they didn't officially practice, but that's the report that they gave. So take that for whatever it's worth. So today will be a big day. If he's able to get back out there and do something, it's clearly something you should be focusing on because of Dearness Johnson and for whatever it's worth, Dimitri Felton. But I'll go back, just to the running backs here. To me, the best guy is Devonta Freeman, and I don't know if it's particularly close. Just looking at what Latavius Murray's injury is, John Harbaugh on Monday said he didn't want to give an update on Murray's status. And so if Murray's out and you're looking at Le'Veon Bell and Freeman and maybe Tyson Williams, who knows what they'll do with him. But Freeman, like Dave said, he's looked explosive the last 2 weeks. He actually looks more explosive than he has in the last couple of years. It's refreshing to see. And, just knowing what this backfield is, that Murray's been a pretty consistent touchdown producer. I think it's only been 2 games where he hasn't scored. Whether that's Le'Veon Bell or Freeman, but Freeman just has a little bit more juice to me. So if I have the number one priority, I'm avoiding the Browns situation. Stevenson is more of a long-term play. Rashad Penny's more of a long-term play. If I need somebody for this week, it's Freeman, and he would be the second player to add behind Sterling Shepard.
Are you excited about him? I mean, compare him to, say, Damian Williams a couple weeks ago. Elijah.
No, there's nobody in that category. There's nobody in the Darrell Williams, Damian Williams, Chuba Hubbard category. Elijah Mitchell, if you want to just keep going back to the start of the season. Yeah. Because we don't know if Murray's out. Murray could easily play. And if he plays, then Freeman's not worth the number one waiver spot. And again, it's a weird week because the 6 teams on a bye, all the players who are dealing with injuries. So you might have to burn the number one waiver spot on somebody that you don't want to if it doesn't reset. So if you've been sitting in that spot for a week, it's just one of those frustrating situations. And so you could have to decide between, a Ravens running back, a Browns running back, a Seahawks running back, and that would stink. But I think if it does reset and you're sitting at the number one waiver spot, Freeman could be the guy that they start to look at moving forward. Dearness Johnson may be the guy in tandem with Nick Chubb, or Felton's the guy in tandem with Nick Chubb. Stevenson, like Dave said, 3 catches. He had the most catches, targets, and routes run of the Patriots running backs. He was a mess in pass protection, so who knows what happens coming out of that game. But still, he now has back-to-back weeks with at least 8 total touches. And I know I reference this guy a lot, and we should probably put some context to it. But Tom Spencer, who comes on with us on HQ on Sunday mornings, he's the research guy for Jim Nantz and Tony Romo, and he's in the coaches meetings. And he said Sunday morning, Ramondre Stevenson's going to have a bigger role. He didn't expand on what that role would be. I don't know if Belichick and the coaching staff expanded on what that role would be, but you saw it. You saw Brandon Bolden on the sidelines working on special teams back in that spot, and Stevenson being their passing downs guy. So if he's going to be the passing downs guy, he's got some long-term appeal. And if there's something happens to Damian Harris, there's some pretty significant appeal.
If Antonio Gibson misses time, what kind of a role do you think Jarrett Patterson would have? Because they more or less So McKissick got about 13 carries a game, something like that, and was really good in 2 of 3 games without Gibson. Now, one of those games Gibson started, but he left really early against Pittsburgh. So basically 3 games without Gibson, and McKissick was a must start, like huge games in 2 of those 3. Do you think Patterson is going to be significant, Dave?
I think he'll be significant in that he'll be the running downs guy for Washington.
Do you? But do you think that'll be the case, or do you think it'll be like
this
10,
week?
10?
You mean?
No,
No.
like the carry split between McKissick and Patterson.
I'd be surprised if it was a wide split between them, where it's like Patterson with 12 carries and McKissick with 3. I think it'll be closer to what you're saying, which could be like 8-6, something like that. So Patterson, he looked good in the preseason. You've heard that from me before. You probably want to run the other way when you hear that at this point, but he's going to be somebody with an opportunity. It's less of an opportunity than Freeman, than Dearness Johnson for this week. So that's why he's behind them. He doesn't have much long-term appeal, which is why Ramondre Stevenson is ahead of him as well. But he's a running back who's going to play this week, and the matchup isn't terrible against the Green Bay Packers. I just don't know if Washington's going to be able to hang in that game for more than 2 quarters.
Right, but I think
it could very easily be 17-0 at halftime, and then Aaron Rodgers throws 2 more touchdowns in the 3rd quarter.
If I'm looking at waivers right now, right, and I'm looking at the Washington situation and the Seattle situation, Collins is already on IR, but he's got a neck issue, and
Carson's on IR.
Sorry, Carson, and I just don't know what to expect there. And Gibson, I cannot sit here and be like, Gibson's day to day. He's got a stress fracture in his shin that he
left last week's game twice.
Yeah, I know. So it's like there might actually be a long-term play in that backfield. I can't sit here and say that that's the case. I'm not a doctor, but when you look at different injuries, I mean, that one scares me a little bit. It's
sure.
You don't want your starting running back to have a stress fracture, and then he made it through week 5 okay, but he did not make it through week 6 okay. So,
different injury though. It's probably related but different.
But he left with the shin, then he came back, and then he hurt the calf. That's how I understood it.
Maybe.
So now you've got 2 leg injuries though. So I don't know. I just wonder. I don't know what's going to happen. Just because Jarrett Patterson is next up on the depth chart doesn't mean he'd be any good. But
I would be surprised if there is a significant injury for Antonio Gibson if there's not somebody brought in.
Exactly. I guess my point.
Because I don't know, like Patterson, I think is somebody that they like. I think that's somebody that they would like to use. I don't think it would be somebody that they're going to say all of a sudden you're getting Antonio Gibson's workload. So McKissick, I think, would probably be 2-1 in terms of carries and probably 3-1 in terms of touches.
I want to throw one more name out. I feel like I'm the only one who who's on this or who cares, but Tyson Williams. If Latavius Murray's out, maybe they go back to Tyson Williams. Maybe they felt secure enough with Murray that they could make him inactive 2 of the last 3 weeks, Tyson. But if he's out, perhaps they think, all right, Tyson's our best chance. He's 50% rostered.
Yeah, well, how I sent you the notes. I had him originally as a drop candidate, and then I took him off, and I have him in the write-up for Devonta Freeman. So it's certainly something to put in the back of your mind that if we find out, I don't think a lot of people are going to run to pick up Tyson Williams because he didn't play. This is not there's something I think we should talk about with the buys in regards to your roster management, but I'll bring it up here for a second. I don't think you want to drop players that mean something to you long-term to pick up Tyson Williams as a short-term play because we just don't know. So if Murray's out, I don't think you want to drop, somebody who, is a third, you don't want to drop.
Would you drop Murray?
You don't want to drop who, Latavius Murray?
Yeah. Would you drop Murray for Tyson Williams?
No, not at this point. Unless it's
you needed a running back really, really badly. That's the only
way.
If
it's a high ankle sprain for Murray and he's going to miss several weeks, then yes. But we don't know that Williams is going to be even a big part of the backfield. But in any event, does Tyson Williams have a chance to be active and be a significant contributor? Well, I hope so. But it's hard to say that the Ravens feel that way. So he'd probably be active, but still could be third behind both Freeman and Le'Veon Bell.
Yeah,
Harbaugh was talking him up after the game. He was like, he was asked about the running back. Each running back scored for Baltimore last week. And Harbaugh was talking up Tyson Williams. He's like, it was a big game for him, too. He learned a lot being on the side. Like, I thought that was a strange thing for Harbaugh to bring up. And then he seemed a little unsure of what that backfield would look like in the wake of Latavius' injury. This is right after the game on Sunday. So I don't know if he's clarified any comments since then. But the bottom line is that this is part of the reason why Freeman isn't number 1 for me. I like what I've seen from him, but I'm not sure he's going to get 15 touches against Cincinnati this week. If I was sure, he would definitely be number one.